Hello everyone, my name is Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited about filming this video, mainly because it was a spur of the moment decision for me. I definitely didn't plan on doing a reading vlog for these books, but as I started reading the first book this afternoon, I knew that I just needed to document my reading experience for you guys. So today I started reading the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. So this includes The Cruel Prince, then next is The Wicked King, and then the third and final book is The Queen of Nothing. So just to let you guys know, as a overall disclaimer, I am not going to be talking about major spoilers in this vlog because I want as many people as possible to watch this video, and I hope that this video will also encourage you to pick up this trilogy as well, because I haven't read much of it, but I can already tell that this is iconic. So just to give you guys an overall synopsis, this series follows Jude Duarte, and when Jude was 7 years old, this fairy named Maddox came to her family's house and murdered her parents pretty much right in front of her. And so Maddox decides to take Jude, Taryn, who is Jude's twin sister, and then Vivi, who is their older sister, with him back to the land of Fairy. So for the past 10 years, she has been living in Fairy, and it is a very different lifestyle, obviously, from the mortal world. And 10 years later, Jude wants nothing more than to belong in the land of Fairy. But the Fae kind of despise humans, and so she knows that she will never truly belong, even though that is what she so desperately wants. And so in this land of the Fae, there is what they call the High King, and I think he has 6 children, and Prince Carden, I think, is his youngest child, and he is also like the wickedest of the king's children, hence why this is called the Cruel Prince, because he is quite cruel. And so while Jude is taking like school lessons essentially with these Fae children, Carden being one of them, Carden and his posse bully Jude at every opportunity they can get. And she definitely fights back, and that's what's different about her, because her twin sister Taryn definitely kind of takes a back seat and just kind of wants to blend in. So as of right now, I am on page 105, and that is chapter 12, and I do have quite a few things that I already want to discuss. Something that I find really compelling about Jude's character is that, you know, in the booktube community, people have discussed her character a lot and how much they love that she's morally gray, she, you know, desperately hungers for power. And I overall just expected her character to be not as likable and to just be more ruthless and honestly to be kind of a bitch. And so I'm kind of surprised that her character is so vulnerable, actually. And then we also learn in this first 100 pages that she could easily go back to the mortal world and live there. There's really nothing stopping her, but she just desperately wants to stay in this land and she wants to belong. And the way that the Fae treats her definitely does get under her skin and definitely upsets her. And like I said, of course, she's not going to show that to them, but on the inside, you know, she's definitely feeling conflicted in so many different ways. So this relationship between Carden and Jude, it definitely hasn't turned romantic yet, but the way that Carden bullies Jude, it already reminds me so much of Vicious by L.J. Shen. This, if you guys don't know, this is a bully romance, and the way that Vicious acts towards Amelia when they're in high school, man, it just totally reminds me of Jude and Carden. So if you guys have, you know, read one book and not the other, and you like that kind of romance, definitely, you know, read both of these. You know, in these first 100 pages, we already get a good glimpse into the actual mortal world, as Vivi, who, like I said, is Taryn and Jude's older sister by a couple of years, she actually is half Fae, and so she has the ability to use magic and she can access the mortal world. And so they literally go to the mortal world just to like go to the mall and go to the movies and like do normal things, and yet they keep coming back to this Fae world that is just so different in every way possible, and it's just really cool to read about that. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for now. I'm sorry my thoughts are very rambly, but like I said, this was a spur of the moment idea for me to even film this video, so I didn't take notes like I usually do when I'm filming reading vlogs. So hopefully my thoughts will be much more succinct in the coming clips. But I think what I'm gonna do is just keep working on The Cruel Prince and maybe give you guys an update maybe in the next 100 pages or so. But yeah, I am just so excited to read this entire series and bring you guys along with me. All right, what's up everyone? It is Monday afternoon? What is today? No, it's I have made quite a bit of progress on The Cruel Prince. I did take the dust jacket off because that's just how I like to read hardcovers. I love this gorgeous artwork on the naked hardback. But I am on page, let's see, 249, and that is technically what she's calling book 2. And where I left off, holy shit went down. Okay, I'm sorry for cursing a lot, but yeah, things happened. And all I can say is this shit is bananas. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. This shit is banana. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Like, wow, I can see why everybody just talks about how shook they are while reading this book, because what? Like, there's just so many different plot twists. You know, regardless of the major one that just happened, there's so many like little twists and turns here and there that just keep you on the edge of your seat and make for a really entertaining reading experience. This is also a book that I feel like I am just immediately immersed in the second I start a chapter or something like that. It just completely immerses me into the world, and I feel like this book is also unlike anything else I've ever read. So for that reason too, I definitely would highly recommend this book if you are looking for a series to get into during quarantine life and you want to escape the real world, because wow, this is just so well done. I do have quite a few things that I want to discuss, but I'm gonna try to keep my thoughts succinct. So the first one is Maddox and Jude. So like I mentioned in the first clip, Maddox is the fairy that murdered Jude's parents and then took her, Taryn, and Vivi to fairy with him and has raised them as his own daughters. And so Jude and Maddox specifically have a very interesting relationship. Page 11, I feel like this quote kind of perfectly encompasses their relationship. And despite myself, despite what he'd done and what he was, I came to love him. I do love him. It's just not a comfortable kind of love. And I just think that's so perfect because, you know, she's grappling with the fact that he is a murderer. He murdered her parents, and also he's kind of a murderer for a living because he's a general for the king. And yet he does show love towards her, and she reciprocates that. She definitely loves him in return, and so it's definitely not a comfortable love. And another topic that I wanted to bring up about Jude is her grappling with her own morality, because as we go later and later into this book, she starts doing some not so good things. She gets in with a group of people that want her to deceive and spy. And so as she's kind of going into this like descent of morality in a way, it's interesting to see her inner monologue talk about that, because I feel like most of the time in like YA fantasies in general, like you don't really see the character questioning their actions all that often. Like, I don't know, I just feel like Jude is very unique in the way that like she thinks about herself and she thinks about her actions. You know, at the beginning of the book, she talks about how she knows she will never be a fae, but at the beginning she says that she wants to best them. It says, I don't desire to do as well in the tournament as one of the fae. I want to win. I do not yearn to be their equal. In my heart, I yearn to best them. But then later on page 46, she says, even if by some miracle I could be better than them, I will never be one of them. Then on page 210, so obviously this is a lot later in the book, she says, if I cannot be better than them, I will become so much worse. And I just think that is so interesting and compelling. Man, I just love the way that Holly Black writes her character and her inner monologues. I mean, I've already gushed about this several times in this vlog. But then on page 112, I just thought that this was an entertaining quote. She finds a copy of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. And so she reads the passage, but I don't want to go among mad people, Alice remarked. Oh, you can't help that, said the cat. We're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad. How do you know I'm mad, said Alice. You must be, said the cat, or you wouldn't have come here. And then Jude thinks a bubble of scary laughter threatens to rise up my throat. I think that that also perfectly encompasses her relationship with the land of fairy. And even she acknowledges that she must be pretty crazy to want to belong in this just insane world. There is this passage on page 137 where she says, he can humiliate me, but every time he does and I don't back down, he makes himself less powerful. After all, he's throwing everything he's got at someone as weak as I am, and it's not working. He's going to take himself down. I feel like this passage also kind of sums up why Cardan is so obsessed with Jude, because it seems like no matter what he does, no matter what he says, Jude never backs down, and it continues to humiliate him. You know, a human standing up to a fae, that's pretty unheard of. I mean, in this world, humans are really only brought in to be servants or maybe to be consorts to other fae, but they are definitely low on the totem pole. I can already tell that Cardan is just falling hard for Jude, you know, mainly because she always puts up a fight and she's not a yes man. Okay, I think that's gonna be everything for now. Like I said, I'm on page 250. There's about 370 pages in this first book, so I don't think I'm gonna finish it tonight, but I'm probably gonna get pretty close, and I'll definitely finish this tomorrow morning, and I'll give you guys a final update and wrap up. And then I will go into the second book, The Wicked King. So yeah, I'm having so much fun reading this book and discussing different things about the characters with you guys. This book is so entertaining. I love that all of the characters are so morally gray. With the exception of a couple characters, there's really no one person in this book that is all good or all bad. But that is also what's interesting about fairies, especially the way that they are portrayed in Holly Black's books and Cassandra Clare's, because I think that they definitely do portray fairies in a very similar way. And I cannot wait to finish this book by tomorrow. What's up? It is Wednesday afternoon. I just finished The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, and wow, am I shook to the core. This book snatched my wig. I am now bald. I am, of course, giving this 5 stars. Oh my goodness, this was just so good. I've already, you know, talked about this, but I just adore how all of the characters in this book are just like so morally gray. They are all Slytherins, and I'm just so here for it. So after I last talked to you guys, I had about like 70 pages left of this book to read before I finished it. And wow, I mean, things just change so quickly in the span of like the last part of this book. And it's just like so cool to see Jude be so ruthless in her pursuit of power. and how commanding she is, like of Prince Carden in particular. They just have a very, very interesting relationship. And in fact, their relationship kind of reminds me of Lady Macbeth and Macbeth, because Jude is totally calling the shots. The whole last part of this book, she tells Carden what to do, when to do it, and she's just an icon. She is a queen and she is an absolute icon. So yeah, I loved this so much. Couldn't give it less than 5 stars. And then I am going to immediately get started on The Wicked King, which is the second book. And yeah, I'll probably give you guys an update once I read a good chunk of this. Hello everyone, it is much later on Wednesday. In fact, it's technically Thursday because it's like 12:30 a.m. right now, but whatever. So The Wicked King, I have made a lot of progress on this actually. I'm just about halfway through it. I'm on page 153 and there is just about 300 pages in this book. First of all, I adore the designs that they put on these naked hardbacks. They are just gorgeous. If the first book was all about getting power, I feel like this second installment is all about Jude trying to stay in power and trying to keep hold of the power that she has. And throughout this whole book, we're seeing that Jude is kind of way in over her head, you know. It's definitely apparent that she is still a 17-year-old human girl and she is in this world of fairies, and it is very overwhelming for her trying to deal with all of these different creatures and their deceits and their manipulations, and her trying to also manipulate them into doing what she wants them to do. From the very beginning of this book, she's talking about how she gets like no sleep at night and she's constantly scared and stressed out, and there's just so many things weighing on her shoulders. It's interesting too to see her inner monologue and how aware she is of her relationship with power in general. So on page 30 she says, "I, who have had little power in my life, must be on guard against that feeling. Power goes to my head too quickly like fairy wine." I mean, at least she's aware that she is power hungry. Something also very different about this installment is the changing relationship between Jude and Carden. On page 60 she even says, "Once I was the one to throw him off balance, the one to ignite his anger and shred his self-control, but somehow the tables turned. Every day since, I've felt the slippage. As I gaze at him now, stretched out on my bed, I feel more off balance than ever." I feel like that just perfectly sums up the way that Carden is definitely getting under Jude's skin at this point. And also the romance is kind of surprising me because there's not a lot of it. Like, I mean, I'm halfway through this book, like I said, and at this point between the first book and this book, we've only had really 2 romantic scenes. And I just expected a lot more emphasis to be put on the romantic relationship between Jude and Carden, and that is totally not the case. This series is definitely so much more about like court politics, strategizing, definitely Game of Thrones-esque, which I am really appreciating, and I still am loving this series so far. I mean, this is still a 5-star book so far for me. That's going to be it for my update for tonight, and I think what I'm going to do is just finish this book tomorrow, and then I'll give you guys a final update and review about this one, and then I will be going into The Queen of Nothing, which is the 3rd and final book. All right, what's up guys? It is Thursday evening right now. I actually finished The Wicked King a couple of hours ago. So my thoughts on this, I'm actually gonna give this 4 stars, which I'm a little surprised about because to me, like looking at like Goodreads reviews and what other booktubers have said in their videos, a lot of people consider this to be their favorite book of the series, so I thought that I was going to love this even more than The Cruel Prince, but for me personally, it just wasn't nearly as strong of a book as the first one. While there were definitely a lot of intriguing plot points and there were some plot twists here and there, I just feel like The Cruel Prince was a much more intriguing and captivating book. Although I do have to say that I probably would have been more shocked after reading this book, but I was spoiled for the ending of this specific installment. I don't know, just like looking at book Twitter, I think like over the past few months after this book came out, people were like subtly spoiling the ending. But at the same time, I do think it's a very interesting ending. I'm not sure if I love or hate the direction that this series is going in. I did want to take a minute to discuss Carden's character for a little bit because I feel like his character is actually quite different from what I expected him to be. Going into this, I thought he was going to be much more of like an alpha male, more dominant, more badass. But sometimes he's kind of a petulant child and he's kind of annoying. And I mean, he does it to get under Jude's skin. There are a couple of times in these two books where he does show his authority and show that he has the ability to like be dominant. He's definitely an anti-hero. He's not a protagonist. He is not a hero. I just don't really have a strong feeling either way. Like, do I hate him or do I love to hate him or do I love him? And I do kind of feel like Holly Black wrote his character to be like that on purpose. At the same time, I do also feel like she focused so much on making Jude such an icon that I almost feel like Cardan's character kind of suffered for that. I definitely think that Jude is the star of this show, as she should be. I did expect him to kind of be on her same level as far as being ruthless and, you know, wanting power and wanting to stay in power. That's not really him. That's not really his MO. I guess Jude has enough ambition for the both of them, which is why I do compare them to Lady Macbeth and Macbeth. Yeah, settling on a 4-star rating. And then in terms of the last book, which is The Queen of Nothing, I'm going to start this pretty soon. Once I'm done filming for the night, I'm definitely going to get started with this one. I am kind of scared going into this one because so many people that I follow give this like 2 or 3 stars. Only a select few booktubers that I follow that have given this 5 stars. So yeah, a little scared going into this, and like I already said, I'm not sure how to feel about the direction that this series is going in. But yeah, I will definitely update you guys at some point tomorrow. Hey guys, what's up? It is Friday morning right now. I did want to do a little bit of an update with The Queen of Nothing. Yesterday I did read the first 100 pages, and I have to say I'm really enjoying the direction that the story is going in this book. It's really interesting to see Jude kind of at her lowest point at the very, very beginning of this. It's just really cool to see how Jude deals with everything, and this really shows that she is truly a survivor. And while I can see why some people wouldn't be a huge fan of where the story is going at the moment, I'm liking it a lot. Definitely very different than what I was expecting going into this, but so far I think it's really well done. And so I think what I'm gonna do is just read the rest of it today, and then I will do a final update and kind of a wrap up of this book and also the overall series. Hey everyone, it is Friday evening. I've officially finished The Queen of Nothing, which means I am done with the Folk of the Air trilogy. And I have to say, this book was fantastic. I had to give it 5 stars. I really, really loved the direction that the story went in this book. While I didn't love The Wicked King as much as I loved The Cruel Prince, this book for me totally solidified my love for this series. What I adore so much about this book is that we finally get Jude and Cardan having real heart-to-heart conversations. I feel like in The Cruel Prince and The Wicked King, most of the time they were just kind of dancing around each other's feelings, and their relationship was so much more about just like clever banter and I don't know, things like that. Whereas in this book, we finally get both of them revealing how they feel about each other, and it was just really beautiful to read about. This book actually made me emotional because of how much their relationship grew throughout. And one quote in particular that I just adored is one that Cardan says to Jude. He says, "It's you I love. I spent much of my life guarding my heart. I guarded it so well that I could behave as though I didn't have one at all. But now it is a shabby, worm-eaten and scabrous thing, but it is yours." I love that so much because it's just such a Cardan thing to say, but at the same time, like, it's just so good. So good. This book has also made me just fall head over heels in love with Cardan. Like I said, I think in my last update, I wasn't really sure about how to feel about him in the first 2 books, but in this book, I feel like his character does grow a lot, and because he was able to really show his feelings for Jude and kind of show who he really is on the inside, that just really solidified my love for his character. Also, talk about power couple, Jude and Cardan are just absolutely iconic, and they have quickly become just one of my all-time favorite couples in books that I've read. I did want to take a minute to talk about the pacing of this book because so many people people that have been giving this 2 or 3 stars gave it that rating because they thought that this book was way too fast and too short. So this book is like 305 pages. It is the shortest book of the series, and people just felt like everything that happened at the end happened too fast. And I have to say that I disagree with that. I actually think the pacing of this was so well done. That may be because I do like fast-paced books overall. I don't really like books that just trudge along and you have to read like 1,000 pages to get to the ending. I would much rather a book like this that's kind of straight to the point. And I feel like I'm the only one that feels that way, because even other people that I follow that do give this 5 stars, everyone is in agreement that they wish that this book was like 100 more pages or so. And I just completely disagree with that. I thought this was like perfectly done, and I think that this was an incredible conclusion to this trilogy. So that is it. I read this entire trilogy in 4 days. I'm not really sure what my favorite book of the trilogy is, to be quite honest. I mean, of course I'm going to take The Wicked King out of the running because I gave that one 4 stars. So between The Cruel Prince and The Queen of Nothing, I love them for very different reasons. I think that The Cruel Prince is incredible because it is the introduction to the series, it's the introduction to this world and the characters and everything like that. And I don't know, there's just different things going on in the plots of both of these that make me love them. So I don't think I can pick between the two. All right guys, and that's going to be it for my Folk of the Air reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really had such a fun time reading these books over the past few days and documenting my experience for you guys. So I hope that you guys have been enjoying this vlog as well. I also would love it if you would consider pressing that like button and subscribing, and I thank you if you do. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!